Hello, everyone, and welcome to Speed Gaming 2. This is your Worlds Collide Wednesday, where we're going to be racing the Final Fantasy VI Randomizer. My name is Joker, and I'm joined by the one doing all the heavy lifting in this stream, the one, the only, the Schwans.
Do you even lift, bro, is my motto. No, I'm just kidding. How is it going today, Joker Mage? We got another Ultros League practice race. Season 5 has just gotten underway. We're in week 1. I haven't done my particular seed just yet, but I know that it's going to be a doozy, as is this one here. So let's chat about what the heck even is a Final Fantasy VI randomizer. Well, the objective of the game, as you see on the screens here, is to unlock and defeat Final Kefka, just as you would normally in the regular vanilla game. In order to unlock Final Kefka, we need to get to 6 characters and 9 espers. Those are the gold numbers on the bottom. We do start with 3. And lots of stuff is randomized. The characters we start with, their commands, their stats, the magic that we teach on espers, where we acquire the espers and characters. The bosses are all shuffled up, the items in shops, the items in chests. It's basically like a treasure hunt to go through the Final Fantasy VI game here, where we cut out all the dialogue and all the boring stuff. We give our runners 3 Moogle charms so that they can avoid random encounters if they want to, or take it off if they want to do some grind fights. And I think the only other thing that's interesting about this particular randomizer is that bosses are scaled based on how much progression you have acquired throughout the seed. So right now our enemies are level 6 because it's characters plus espers plus dragons times 2, and we start with 6 characters. So it's not location-based scaling as we've seen in some other games. I think I covered most of it, right, Joker?
You did a very thorough discussion. I like to describe randomizers as 1 part puzzle block, 1 part scavenger hunt, and 1 part panic attack. Luckily, I'm not the one racing these. We have 3 great racers who are going to be doing this one for us: Jesus the Frog, Honeydew, and Gar.
Yeah, so the other thing I forgot to mention, which is slightly different about this randomizer than other ones, is that the areas that you can go to in order to get these rewards from the original vanilla Final Fantasy VI game are tied to the characters that you have recruited. So we'll see exactly who our 3 characters are that we start with, and that will indicate to us what areas or checks we can sort of do with our starting characters to see where our runners may be going.
So if in the vanilla game I have fond memories of the whole ghost train sequence, how would I get there?
Well, the Phantom Train is accessible if you have Sabin. So Sabin is the character gate for the Phantom Train. So if you want to do that, we need to recruit Sabin, and then we can get the reward on the train there. We could actually go back into the Phantom Forest after we've done the check and potentially suplex a train if we have someone with Blitz. So it's a lot of different events that need to coincide in order for that to happen, but the meme will definitely be alive if that is the case for sure.
Yeah, and not all checks are built the same. Some of them are a bit more involved, and you're going to be spending a lot more time with them, but they often will also have some more correspondingly better rewards, or there'll just be more rewards. And the different characters also have different things, like different checks available to them based upon their role in the vanilla game largely. There's some stuff that had to be tweaked, obviously, just because that's how things go when you are doing these kinds of remixes and randomizers. But by and large, if you remember the vanilla storyline, you'll kind of have a good idea of what character you need to get to go where. And once we see what our starting character is for this race, we'll have some idea of what the racers have planned.
Yeah, because I think it'll certainly depend on what our starting characters are. Usually the first 5 or 10 minutes of a Worlds Collide seed is a lot of looting and shopping just to see exactly what we've got. But we should definitely see some runners going off and doing some stuff to get some rewards.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to start this off by going bargain hunting, and sometimes you just hope stuff falls off the back of a truck.
Yeah, or in barrels. lots of barrels have lots of different rewards for sure.
But anyway, after the whole supermarket sequence, you generally want to take a few battles, I understand, to get some levels on your characters to get ahead of that character scale or enemy scaling that you mentioned at the beginning.
Yeah, so we do start at level 3 on our own characters, and remember, there are some areas of the game that don't require any fights in order to get a reward. That's what we call a free check. So we might end up turning up the scaling even higher than 6, depending upon which characters we get. If they have checks that do not necessitate battles in them, we can get rewards without even having to fight here. So we'll see exactly what our runners do. Let's introduce our runners here. Honeydew, the purple and white trim in the upper left-hand corner. Jesus the Frog, greenish slate in the upper right-hand corner. And then we have Gar there in the lower corner. We have Throw on Shadow. That's a bit of a vanilla thing. And we also have Realm. I didn't see what ability she had. So Throw with both Shadow and Go-Go right off the rip is really, really nice. So Realm has Health, which was Bannon's ability in the vanilla game. So Throw is huge for our runners here, Joker.
Yeah, this feels like a very solid start. Realm is generally one of the more desirable characters because she starts with very high magic, and magic is golden in this game. So we're going to be looking for earrings and other ways to empower that magic. Health may get some use earlier on, but hopefully you'll be replacing that with like a Cure 2 or Cure 3. But yeah, Throw is definitely has some advantages for those who know how to use it, but we might be seeing them replace Go-Go a bit later on. But yeah, starting out in Narsh, looting out the Narsh chests, and the probably going to do a little bit of shopping to see what's around here.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the great things about Throw is you could actually mimic that throw, and it will not reduce that item from your inventory, which is really helpful with Throw. The other thing is with selling things in shops, we do want to potentially hold on to some of our weapons that we might not be using because they could be good just to chuck and yeet at some enemies. Question in the chat from Isaac. When is go mode in this randomizer? Those are the gold numbers that you see on our overlay here. When our runners recruit 6 characters and get to 9 espers, they will be able to unlock Final Kefka, and then they could storm Kefka's tower to go and defeat it. We've got some elemental throwables there in the weapon shop that Honeydew just picked up on, so that is really nice to see right off the bat. That'll get our Shadow and Throw Go, as I like to dub it, online early. Gar getting the first Esper of the seed there at one of Shadow's free checks, which is Gao Manor. So, Joker, let's talk about some of the checks that these characters open to us here. We do have Shadow's free check there that we saw at Gao Manor. Honeydew, checking the monster in a box. Monster in a boxes are shuffled amongst themselves, and we don't want any of the presenter there. So I'm sorry.
Yeah,
what
I was
other
just going to say, apart from that free check for Shadow, he's also got the floating continent, which is one of the longer ones, but it has guaranteed progression because there is one spot that is either character or Esper. So that is definite progression, assuming you're not already overloaded on both. But it has 3 total checks there, 4 boss fights plus some starting fights. So you definitely want to be sure you're ready for that, but it can also help just sort of catapult you if you take it early. He also has a World of Ruin check in the Veld Cave, which is a very straightforward peekable check that we'll often see people just at least go check it out. For Realms, you got the World of Ruin Owners check, which is a bit long, but you can it's not usually a terribly difficult one to get through. There's also the Esper Cave check in World of Bounds, which again is a very short one. And then finally, Go-Go has, I believe it's the Zone Eater check in World of Ruin.
Yep, that's correct. So that's the spot in the World of Ruin where you get engulfed, sucked into the Zone Eater, and you go down and you have to avoid the Chancellors that are all too willing to throw you off of a cliff there. Those are some not so nice people. Floating Continent is an interesting play here because it is 3 checks, as you mentioned. It's a 3-part check, and you are guaranteed to get rewards at both the first and the third spot. So the first and third spot of Floating Continent is either character or Esper reward. The middle spot, where you fight Atma Weapon in the vanilla game, that is a Esper or item rewards. So it's a bit of a risk because it is definitely the longest check in the game. The first part has 3 forced encounters plus 2 bosses. You do get a heal in between the first 2 bosses, but that's still a lot of fights. And then you have to walk all the way through the floating continent before you get to the second boss. And then there's the third boss after 2 forced encounters and yet another boss.
Hey,
Returner's Hideout, as we mentioned, is another popular place for looting. We did find a Thunder Shield up in there, so that'll be pretty incredible. And another Thunder Shield Gar found here in the World of Balance South Figaro as well. So we already got some lightning.
Yeah, and it's interesting that so far Gar's made the only actual check so far. Everyone else is still on looting and shopping, and Gar immediately goes back to looting and shopping after checking that free check for Shadow. But we may see some divergence here. Just going to Zen, probably going to check out the one of the free checks, the Zen Thief, which you can buy an Esper from, and hopefully it'll be cheap.
Yeah, so the World of Balance to Zen and World of Ruin to Zen will both have some shady dude in the corner selling something. I didn't quite see what the price was here in the World of Balance, but it will also tell you only in the World of Balance if it's an Esper or an item or not. Did you happen to see it say shiny stones or not? If not, the chat will certainly yell at us to set us straight.
I don't think it did say shiny stone.
Okay, so that is just an item there at Zen Thief. There are 2 different prices in the World of Balance or the World of Ruin, depending upon what you want. So it'll be interesting to see there. Yeah, so Gar is taken off here, and it looks like he is heading to one of Realm's checks in Jador in the World of Ruin for Owzer's Mansion. Owzer's Mansion has 2 forced encounters that you have to fight, and there's multiple encounters that you can fight, as we see Kier 3 and Merton on that Esper. We already have 2 Thunder Shields, so we're already part of the way there, Joker.
Yeah, and you could do, depending on what those fights are, you could potentially take them as part of getting ahead of scaling.
Oh, for sure. That's definitely something I like to do. Owzer's is one of my favorite openers if I have Realm here. We have a Partisan and a Sniper in that weapon shop there, 2 of the higher end weapons. Not necessarily S tier weapons, but definitely A tier, especially with a jumper for one, and then Sniper is really nice to do back row with the fight can end on the other. And Gar could potentially take multiple random encounters by pulling down on the chests or talking to some random paintings, and this is a pretty good formation. Fossil Fang is undead, so we can go ahead and throw a Revivify on it. There you go. And then those other insects, just take them out with the Elemental Skeins, with the Mimic, and there you go. So really nice heads up.
I find it interesting that Jesus, Frog, and Honeydew are, for the most part, following step in step. They did the basements in South Figaro, while Gar is showing divergence. But we do see Jesus Frog checking out to Zen, and it looks like Honeydew is also following right behind.
Yeah, so that's 21,000 there for that item. We didn't say shiny stone. I believe they're looking for some earrings, perhaps, which we did find in this relic shop here. Earrings will up your magic damage by 25% if you wear 1 and 50% if you're wearing 2. So that's really nice to have early on. And there is a Gigantos here. So this is really nice to see as well. The highest XP per level in the entire game, and is very weak to magic. So these magical skeins that we're throwing are dealing a lot of damage even at a low level. So this is a nice find here for Gar.
Yeah, now if you get this, you probably don't need to worry about the floating chest right behind you either.
Yeah, definitely not. I think we're probably at pretty good levels now. He's just going to keep on trucking right over to the save point. Level 14 already. Jeez.
Yeah, that's really good. And it'll go really well up into this boss fight. And we'll see what the boss is and what the reward is very shortly.
It is Celeste painting a picture. So we're getting our 4th character early on in the seed. However, we have to go through a boss, and it is Rexol. Not the boss you want to see if you only have elemental things to throw at him. I think we're going to see just a Mimic over and over and over again here,
or just a lot of physical fighters when I encounter Rexol. And Honeydew looks like also checked out the shadow check, got that Esper as well. And meanwhile, we do see Jesus Frog going to World of Ruin.
Yep, so it looks like they are about to do the go-go check. Same thing with Honeydew, getting his party down to 1 member. This is another one of those quote-unquote free checks where you don't have to fight any fights. However, it's always a battle down in the Zone Eater belly here.
Yeah, and it's just, again, interesting that Jesus Frog and Honeydew are just sort of lockstep in what they're doing right now. And I don't know how soon we'll see some divergence from them. So, but really, seeing how Gar's fight's going, maybe this is the right choice. He does look like he's getting through it, but it is a long fight.
Yeah, not having the right tools to deal with that fight is kind of awful. Rexol, we didn't like the zinger aspect of Rexol, so the Worlds Collide community decided we're just going to remove that part from his battle script. There is a way you could turn it back on with some of our flags, but having Rexol inhabit one of your characters would be terrible in Kefka's Tower because we only need 6 to beat the game, right? And if
Frog and Honeydew are getting trolled by that one enemy that throws you off the bridge.
Yeah, these Chancellors here, they don't play. As Honeydew goes down, we got 1 bridge throw for our runners here. Jesus the Frog
questions correctly. That's what
no. He didn't know what his favorite color is. That is a Monty Python joke. If you didn't get it in the chat there. But we do get Celeste with X magic. So that is her natural ability. No gem box needed for X magic here. Not exactly what we wanted.
Randomizer to go with it.
Yeah, it's not exactly what we want to see, because if you use X magic, you won't be able to summon Espers, and the cost of the MP obviously is determinant on that. As we do see a shiny stone at the end of the Zone Eater, so there you go. The other thing is it's very slow, because multiple magic casts imply multiple animations, and that also allows you to be in fights for longer. This is a speed run after all.
And Gar is going for some more really early plays, going in for one of the 8 dragons in the World of Ruin. How do you feel about this?
I like this play a lot, being aggressive with dragons. You have Shadow and Go-Go who can mimic and throw things over and over again. Throw is one of the most powerful abilities in Worlds Collide, as we do see Ultima is available on Carbuncle from the Zone Eater belly from Jesus the Frog. So Honeydew is also going to be picking that up there, and that is huge to get early on, learning it at only a ×1 rate. So that's one of the changes in Ultra League Season 5, is that we do have Ultima available, but it costs 254 MP, and it is only learnable at a 1x rate there.
So we do have an X magic caster, but they don't have Ultima yet, and we do have Ultima, but they don't have their X magic yet.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be doing X magic Ultima unless we get an economizer, because then it's going to cost us 512 MP per turn, which I don't even think we'll get that much MP throughout the course of an entire Worlds Collide seed. So,
off the top of your head, do you know what the maximum MP bonus from Esper levels are?
We did find an Illumina somewhere, because Go-Go is going to have it. There is MP plus 100% bonus, but that is 100% of what the level up MP would be. So it's not 100% of the current MP that you have, which is what I thought it originally was. So even the MP plus 100% bonus doesn't give you a whole heck of a lot. As we do see one of Celeste's checks, that's one of her free checks, getting a Minerva in the South Figaro prisoner spot. So Celeste also opens up the Opera House Disruption, where Ultros throws the weight on you, and the 3-part Magitech Factory.
Yeah, Celeste is very much like Shadow in that regard, and there's a free check and then a long check.
Yeah, that long check is a Esper item reward for the first 2 spots, and then a guaranteed progression after a 3-battle minecart and 2 more bosses. So
the additional advantage of the Magitech facility, though, is if you have a Magitech user, that will upgrade them if you complete it.
Yeah, that's a great point that I didn't think about. We have not found a Magitech user yet, But it looks like Gar is going to head here anyway in order to just do this just in case.
I mean, it still is a lot of potential rewards there to get you up and going towards the end boss.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think now that he has skipped Zone Eater, I don't ever see him going back to Zone Eater for that Esper unless it's really, really later on in the seed. So he's going to be missing out on that Ultima, whereas our other top two runners are going to have Ultima, and they get this huge, juicy Gigantos XP fight, because they're still both in lockstep with one another here, Joker.
Yeah, and they're both covering that check, the Realm Owner check that Gar already did, so they'll have Celeste too at the end.
Yeah, so I do like Gar just running right into stuff right away. When you have Throw and you have Go-Go, it's one of the most powerful abilities in the game that you can also mimic over and over again, infinitely, basically. So I tend to cut my looting route a lot shorter when I have Throw. I'm just looking in shops for those throwables in order to get going, basically. So
yeah, it's a whole mess of stuff that's either going to be elemental throwables or conditional ones or just physical damage.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, anything that, any weapon, any garbage weapon that you find when you're looting can basically be turned into a throwable. As we'll now see the Rexol fight for both Jesus the Frog and Honeydew. Unfortunately, Rexol has very high magic defense and has lower physical defense, which is why you saw Gar choosing just to use the fight command, because then you don't get these zingers disappearing on you like they are on Jesus here. And
yeah, meanwhile, instead of a pair of Vespers, Gar's fighting a pair of Cranes. That's interesting.
Niles and Frazier here, as we affectionately call them. So the Cranes, this is a little French vanilla action. One of them is weak to lightning. That's the one on the right. And he absorbs fire, and the one on the left will absorb lightning and is weak. They're both weak to water, but the one on the left absorbs lightning, the one on the right absorbs fire, and that is an easy fight there. To go in dumpster diving for Gar. This can only be an Esper or an item, and it happens to be an Esper here. Fire 3 on that Esper. Yeah, so we got some pretty nice spells from our Espers early on in this seed. Our first one from Gal Manor taught us is going to be teaching us Merton and Cure 3. That one's Fire 3, and then the other one from the Zone Eater belly has got Ultima. So,
now, with fire absorbing gear, Gar's in pretty good shape even without finding Ultima.
Right, because he's got a Minerva, which will nullify fire, ice, and lightning. He's got at least two Thunder Shields, I think. Because I think one of them was in Returners and one of them was in South Figaro. There you go. So he's got two. He just needs one more piece of Merton protection to nullify either wind or fire, and he'll be able to get that online.
Relatively simple Dada Luma fight here at the second Magitech facility boss fight. And it looks like Honeydew and Jesus Frog are both through their Rexol fights.
Yeah, so they're going to be picking up their Celeste paint in the picture, and Dadaluma's not going to last very long. We've already seen how much damage Gar is putting out here, especially with those earrings that we mentioned, and getting that Gigantos XP fight early on in the seed as well.
Yeah, I've never really found Dadaluma to be much of a threat. I don't know if that's just a standard thing or if I've just been lucky, but that, along with a few others, I'm kind of not afraid to see them, no matter what part of the game I'm at.
Yeah, so another Magicite there for Gar, and it looks like he is going through to the third phase of the Magitech Factory. You can warp out after that second spot if you want to, or you can continue onward. I usually like to save Magitech Factory for the very end when I just need Espers, and I can get those two and potentially warp out. But doing this early on means he's guaranteed some progression here. And I'm guessing we found the Illumina in the Zone Eater, because both Jesus and Honeydew have it, whereas Gar does not.
Yeah, they both checked the two boxes that were on the bridges where you get thrown off of, so it could have been in one of those.
And nearly a sync going into World of Ruin South Figaro for our top runners here. As we have Gar getting thrown by a giant banana onto the minecart.
Yeah, I was almost wondering if you were just like accidentally copied the same stream to 2 spots here, because of how locked up they've been this entire time. There is some slight divergence. I think Honeydew did buy or acquire do one Esper check that Jesus did not, but I'm not sure what that was.
It was Gao Manor. Yeah, I think it was Gao Manor. Because Honeydew and Gar have both been to Gao Manor, whereas Jesus the Frog has not. Yeah, so there's 3 forced encounters here, and then 1 boss on the minecart. Then you get dumped out to a save point, and there's a story heal right before the final boss of the Magitech Factory. I don't know if Gar just didn't even loot the basement. I don't know, because it doesn't look like... Oh, no, both of our runners are going to get that free Celeste check. That's what they're doing here.
Yeah, and it turns out it was just a Minerva, which, I mean, I say just a Minerva. That is 1 piece of Merton protection if you want it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, nobody can wear the snow muffler that we found in a chest earlier on, as Dr. DT points out in chat. And here we go. We've got a ghost train, but we don't have a suplex. So unfortunately, folks, you are going to have to wait on that meme until another time.
And Ghost Train's not usually very much of a threat anyway, so Gar should be able to get through this without too much problem.
Yep. Will the doggo take it down? There it is.
The dog took down the train.
Oh, Interceptor versus Train. Yeah, so some of the World of Balance bosses are pretty easy because they don't have a lot of HP per level or magic power per level. Ghost Train can get dicey if Evil Toot comes out and starts muddling characters that shouldn't be, and then that muddled character starts killing your team. That's when it starts to get real bad.
Drinks Glue in the chat had a question about which one do we think has the most dog. I think we saw the answer just now with that Interceptor versus Ghost Train.
There you go. All right, so as we mentioned before, Jesus the Frog and Honeydew following each other's footsteps here, and this is a soldier sprite, so this will be either an Esper or an item here at Esper Mountain, and we go 3 for 3 with shiny stones in the Magitech Factory as we get Ultros number 3 here.
Meanwhile, that is Guardian at the Ultra spot instead.
Yeah, one of the endgame bosses. Thankfully, we have Bolt Edges, and we've learned Bolt 2 from that Thunder Shield, so this should not be a problem either.
I can tell you from personal experience, finding Guardian at the Magimaster spot when you don't have any lightning magic is very much a problem.
Yick. Guardian is also weak to water, and but there's no magic spells that you could have that are water. That's mostly water edges and lures that will do it. Simultaneous big beefy robot kills on the top half of our screen, and we'll see if our co-joined twins will continue down the same path or if they will start to diverge, because Gar pulls out an Atma weapon from a box there. That's a nice thing to have. Also, some more Merton protection in the form of an ice shield, so both of our top runners have 4 pieces of Merton gear if they didn't have enough already with Ultima.
I think Gar's in the same area to go check out that fight, because I'm pretty sure that's the Massa, right?
That is correct. Odin with the magic power +1 and Osmose on it, which will be nice for if either one of our top runners decide to go through the Magitech Factory, and it looks like Jesus the Frog is heading in that area. Meanwhile, Honeydew.
We got our divergence finally. Both are doing long checks, but they're doing different long checks. And Honeydew's is one we haven't seen yet.
Yick, level magics. So this fight here in the shed will allow you to heal your party afterwards, and you don't even have to win this fight. You could just run away right here, which is what I would do. And you still get the story heal. But Realm learns Ultima from that 25 magic power that or magic points that those level magics teach. So it is now going to be an Ultima Mimic Fest for Jesus the Frog. Honeydew is going to show us what is the first boss of the Floating Continent here. I do like the play of going to the floating continent a lot better than Magitech Factory. It is slightly longer for sure, but it is guaranteed progression for 2 of the 3 spots anyway.
And additionally, I think we have. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So they are doing that, going through the still going through the fixed encounters for getting off the airship, but we are going to get the boss encounter, and it's 2 boss encounters right in a row before we see what the first reward is.
Yeah, thankfully we get a story heal in between the 2 bosses. Otherwise, this would be pretty brutal. But that also means we could start to throw everything we can at this first boss, because we're going to get a magic refill when it's done. All right, so Jesus the Frog going to head down into the trash. Gar picks up his Merton Protection Ice Shield. Let's see where he decides to go, because he is not going to be going to the Magitech Factory. He's already done it. We'll see if he decides to take a trip up to the floating continent here. And another French vanilla boss.
Okay, and we do have Jesus at the cranes right now, so he made some fairly significant progress there. That is floating continent from Gar, though.
Yep, this totally makes sense here. We don't have our fill of either espers or characters, and this guarantees 2 of them. It is a rather long check, so we'll probably see what the rewards are in about 8 to 10 minutes or so.
I mean, Honeydew is through the first boss, is going to get blown off by Chupin, and then immediately go into the second boss with a heal in between. I think Honeydew learned Merton, and Ultima.
Yeah, so Atma Weapon will give you 50 MP. That basically allows you to learn most spells.
And it's Vargas and his Pooh Bears.
Yeah, even though Merton and Ultima are only at a ×1 learn rate, those 50 MP fights are certainly helpful here, and we'll see the power of Merton as Honeydew is our first runner to get it online. Almost 7,000 damage to those apple toilets, those iPoos.
Yeah, that's Doomfist is going to take way too long to. You're already gone, Vargas. You're gone.
Yeah, sometimes if you find Vargas in Kefka's Tower and he hits you with that 18-second Doomfist, that is when Vargas can become sort of dangerous, right?
Yeah, but otherwise I'm not usually going to be too scared of him. Like, at most spots, it's you just need to do some damage and he goes away.
You could do the vanilla thing of using Pummel to end that fight right away. You will not get any XP or any rewards from it, but you will end the fight right away. However,
unfortunately, we still don't have a Blitz user.
Yeah, and it is a Yeti on top of the floating continent, so Umaro opens up the Yeti cave check at the top of the world of Ruin Narsh, but you do have to defeat the Tritok Esper spot beforehand, though, so that is a nice double combination check, and we do get a dragon up there as well, so there's actually 3 different checks in one area of the world, so that's a pretty good pickup there for Honeydew, even if Umaro is not going to make it in the party.
Yeah, and if they also had Lock, which I don't think we found yet, that would open up the weapon shop in World of Ruin Narsh, so that you could throw that in to make sort of like 5 different checks in a loop.
Yeah, there is our first snow muffler user, as F. Coughlin points out in the chat. So Drinks Glue is going to tell us a fun fact about Umaro. I have a fun fact about Umaro. He actually has the 3rd highest base magic power stat. Did you guys know that? It goes Realm, and then one of Terror or Celes. I don't remember which one, and then Umaro.
Speaking of magic power, Celes was making very effective use of the Fire 3 spell.
So we've been going on about Merton and Ultima, but Fire 3 is a very powerful spell in its own right, especially if a boss is weak to fire. And it is so much faster than either Merton or Ultima. Sometimes you'd rather cast fire than Merton. because of the speed, right? This is a speed run after all. It's not necessarily which attack does the most damage. It is what will get you through the fight the fastest here. Merton, meanwhile, is just destroying everything on the screen for Honeydew. Ridiculous amount of damage. And the Mimic from Go-Go as well.
Yeah, and the Hydon is not one of my favorite things to encounter, but
No.
Honeydew made really short work of that.
Yeah, that is normally a pretty difficult boss fight because there are so many ads, if you will, with the Hide Knights. Unlike in the vanilla game, you can't just throw a Revivify on that boss and kill it. We have turned off the undead property from some of our bosses, and that is Seraphim Esper there for Honeydew. So that is the second reward of the Floating Continent, and we're about to get the third reward after 2 more forced encounters and 1 more boss.
And Drinks Clue's fun fact about Umaru is that he's a Yeti, and that's news to me. I assumed he was just an instance of SCP-096, so...
Umaru is the subject of some of those documentaries, right? Finding Bigfoot, Finding Umaru. All right, so Gar heading through the Floating Continent here as we do get X-Zone and Strength +2 on that Esper. X-Zone is really nice to have because 2 parts of the final Kefka Gauntlet are susceptible to instant death. So that's a really nice spell that we want to have for our final boss.
Yeah, and this is maybe the time you want to put those final Kefka items on your shopping list. Stuff like Calmness Protection, Instant Death, and Mute.
Yeah, so even though our runners are constantly focused on what's in front of them, they also have to constantly be thinking about what's the last boss of the game and how am I going to take them out. So that is something we really want to see our runners have. We also have dialed back the Poison Walk effect. I don't know if you can really see it on Honey's screen, but it's a lot less than it normally is, which is really abusive on the eyes.
Yeah, the mid-90s RPGs were much like the early 90s Pokemon television show and not really accounting for possible seizures and stuff.
Yeah, I hate having a seizure when I play a game. Not fun. Meanwhile, I think one of our characters, Celeste, just learned Mute. I don't know if that was a natural magic spell or if that was on one of our Espers, but that is also one of the pieces of Final Kefka that we want to have, because that means we can take care of magic on Tier 2, basically.
We got another Ultras fight at the end of Floating Continent, and Jesus the Frog has decided to join them, Honeydew and Gar up there, so he's doing Floating Continent as well.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of different high fives as Honeydew gets past the third part of the Floating Continent, Gar gets past the second part of the Floating Continent, Jesus up to the first part, and it is another Ghost Sprite there for Honey, so that is an Esper, because that's a guaranteed progression spot, and it is Ragnarok the Esper at the final part of the Floating Continent. So we now have one more area for us to check in terms of characters. We do have Umaru. Because we have seen most of the checks, I think, in the game, other than the Opera House Disruption. We saw both of Realm's checks, right? We saw Go-Go's check, and we haven't seen the Delt Cave check, so I think those are the only ones left.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Honeydew is going for Magitech Facility. At the end of this, Gar will have 6 Espers and 5 characters, so very close to Go mode. And maybe Magitech Facility will put, give the extra Espers, but we still need to find a 6th character, I think.
That is correct. So our 6th character must be at one of those other spots. So chat, we're going to not know for a while, but you can predict it with us. Here are different spots where our 6th character could be. It could be at Umaru's cave. It can be at Opera House Disruption. It could be at Velt Cave, or it could be at Kefka at Nourish. Those are the 4 spots that we have left. So chat, let me hear from you. Who is our 6th character and where will we find them? Joker, do you have any predictions that you want to throw out here?
Just for fun, I think I'm going to go ahead and say who would be terrible to find right now. Like the one, Maybe Cyan, because you kind of want Cyan earlier, I think, to do a lot of those checks.
Yeah, Cyan does have a lot of good checks though, so that would certainly be bailing some of our runners out here. I am going to go with one of the Figa Bros. I'm going to say that Edgar is needing of rescue in the Veld Cave.
Yeah, and I think most of Edgar's checks are just World of Ruin stuff, or at least the Throne you could do in World of Balance, but I think most people will just sort of loop that into the World of Ruin check since you have to be at Figaro Castle anyway.
Yeah, that is correct. I like just checking the Throne independent of the World of Ruin loop, but only when I get Edgar at the very beginning. If I get Edgar in the middle of the seed, then yeah, you're absolutely right, grouping them together. So Mog at Kefka and Arsh is also a real bad one, because then you have to go all the way back down to activate Lone Wolf to come all the way back up. You do, however, get teleported. Yeah, you do, however, get teleported at least to Arvis's house, so it's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still pretty bad.
So, speaking of Arvis's house, what's your feeling about the Moogle defense check?
So, Moogle defense, I really like how it's been incorporated in Worlds Collide. You do get a random Moogle to fill out your party if you don't have the 4 characters in your party. And you could peek what the reward is in the cutscene. And you could do some grind fights on the wolves that come to attack you. So I actually will do Moogle defense first in order to get some levels from some random encounters underneath me, if need be. The only thing I don't like about the check is that the long cutscene at the beginning, and the fact that you should probably teleport out with a warp stone at the end. So that's the only thing that holds you back.
Yeah, and we do see Gar's going back to the Dragon Hunter roots and taking on a second dragon. This one is the World of Ruin Narsh dragon.
Yeah, so Magic Merton here from Celeste, and then Gogo can mimic that, which means you can get 4 Mertons for the price of 2. That's got to be some sort of sale, right? Everybody, it's not even Black Friday yet, and we're getting double the Merton. But Dirt Dragon goes down in basically 2 casts of a spell. We will get 50 MP plus a ton of XP, the vanilla drop of a Magus Rod, and a high tier item of an Illumina there. That
was a great fight. That was a really great fight for Gar. And additionally, that Merton's going to get you through most of the final Kefka, except for that one entity that absorbs elements.
That is correct. We do have an answer, though, for Girl. We could swing the Illumina at her, or we could throw maybe some shurikens or other weapons at her.
But yeah, Gar, instead of going for Magitech facilities, decided to do the Narsh checks, and is probably going to go see who's hiding out in Mars Cave. I'm not sure if we peeked that or not.
No, you could only peek it in the World of Balance, Narsh, and I don't know if any of our runners even went to World of Balance Narsh. Or if they did, they didn't walk up to go peek the Yeti spot. That is not Magimaster.
Yeah, that's the Magimaster we have at home.
Yeah. So, just a slight correction here. Gar did already go through the Magitech factory. So, he's already gotten the 3 Esper rewards out of that. Grabbing his 7th there with Shote at the Tritok spot. So we'll see what's in Umaro's cave, see if this is where our 6th character is.
And Honeydew is is pretty much at the end of the minecart, so just has to get through Ghost Train and the final fight at the Magitech, and we'll have Magitech done. And as you said, Jesus just got through the halfway point for Floating Continent.
Yeah, so we just sent Ghost Train to another dimension, so that's nice. And Yeti is just an item. So that's one of the nice things about the Yeti check, is you can see what it is sort of before you go and take the fight. So our answer is not at Umaro's cave. Let's see if it's at Veld Cave, which is where I predicted our 6th character is going to be. So we still have Veld Cave, Opera House, and Kefka and Arch. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
And this was another one of those peekable checks, so we'll be able to see before we engage in the fight what the reward is.
Yeah, so I like this routing by Gar here to go for the peekable ones first. Opera House Disruption is the only check of the 3 that we mentioned that is not actually peekable. So putting that one off for last is probably the best idea, because then we could take a look at this one and know, hey, it's not our character. Take a look at Kefka at Norsh when we walk up there and go, oh, hey, that's not our character either.
And realistically, Gar just needs that one character, or that Magicite, actually. That Magicite will put Gar at 8.
Yeah, so we do have a concept of a Kefka Tower skip. So if our runners get either 9 characters or 12 espers or 21 checks, they could skip right to the boss gauntlet part of Kefka's Tower. So it's sort of an overflow skip if you run into one too many of one thing or another, or if you run into a lot of dead checks.
And Gar's fighting another striker we have at home, I think. That's what the more formal form is, the one you fight in Kefka Tower.
Yeah, this is Inferno at the Magitech facility before it gets powered up.
Yeah, Inferno we have at home.
Yep. All right, so that's Esper number 6 for Jesus the Frog. So I'm sorry, I'm wrong. That is Esper number 7 for Jesus the Frog. I can't track properly, apparently.
So Jesus Frog and Gar are on the same numbers, except for, the dragon count, which is still a pretty significant component to Gar's fighting strength.
Yeah, so Gar is at the mid-30s, I believe, in his levels, like 36, 37. I'm not exactly sure where the others are. Looks like low 30s there for Jesus the Frog, 32. We'll see when Honeydew picks up his menu where he is. And Gar looks like they're doing Zone Eater here, so this is not the answer for Gar. He will get his 9th Esper at least, but we know that our character is not here.
Honeydew also wants to get in on the dragon hunting biz and has found the dirt dragon.
Yeah, good. It's a good call to take this dragon here. Why not?
Oh, and Honeydew and Jesus Frog look like they're about to reconnect after all this time apart.
There we go. Yeah, so as the bot is messing up, you can go follow our runners, twitch.tv/honeydew, twitch.tv/JesusTheFrog, twitch.tv/IamGar. And you could follow Joker Mage, twitch.tv/JokerMage, or myself, twitch.tv/TheSchwantz27, as we are retracing over our steps of stuff we already know. There are 3 spots. Well, actually, that's not true. There are 2 spots where our character can be, right? Because we saw Velt Cave, so I was wrong in my prediction. Your prediction is still alive and well.
Yeah, and I know it's not a character check, but have we seen the Doomgaze spot yet?
We have not. So you can fly into the Doomgaze spot if you get lucky, unlucky, etc. Or if we get Setzer, you could actually pick the Doomgaze spot from the airship. The Doomgaze spot will only reward an Esper, an item, as you mentioned, because that is the only thing that it could throw at us. It can't throw a character at us.
Yeah, Neo was encountering the trolley little bridge guard like the others did previously.
Yeah, so Zone Eater is a bit of a divisive check. A lot of runners hate it because of the RNG aspect of the Chancellor. I like to do it early on in the game because there are chests that you can get in here and there are no fights, but doing it at 42 minutes into a seed always feels bad. So how many bridge throws have we had total with our runners? It's either 4 or 5. I don't remember how many Honey had, but I know Jesus had 0. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That Carbuncle has Ultima, right?
That is the one that has Ultima, yep.
I don't know if it's too late for Gar to put Ultima on anyone at this point.
I would argue that it's probably not too late, although it's going to be steep for him to try and learn it, and he's already killed 2 dragons, but for him, he's got an Illumina and he's got Merton. You don't really need Ultima unless, you get a Magimaster or you run into some encounter that you don't have an answer for.
Yeah, and he's kind of in the what am I going to do with all these answers phase.
All right, so that is Honey's 8th Esper, I believe. And Gar has given us the Kefka at Narsh play here. So it's either Kefka at Narsh or Opera House Disruption, folks. What do you think in the chat? Which one do you think it is? Let us know.
Is it possible there's characters at either of them?
Excuse me, there can be characters at both.
And if that was the case, which would you rather check?
Well, Kefka at Narsh is a peekable one, so for me that one is easy. And it's also, even though this walk is kind of annoying, it's less time than the Opera House. And that is an imp. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to the opera. Do you know what opera they play at the Opera House?
Mozart's Marriage of Figaro.
I was going to say, if it's not the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, I'm not going to the Opera House. It is almost that time of the year, right?
I think so, yeah. I think I've already heard like radio ads for Trans-Siberian Orchestra on my local radio.
All right, so Gar, talking to the Chancellor. Ultros, looking surprised. Oh my god, you came to this check? This is your last location.
And this isn't a bad one to start with because of all the little rats you can take down first, but this late it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, so we didn't get Celeste until after our starting party, right? We did, however, get Celeste very early in the seed for Gar, so statistically speaking in Worlds Collide, the game is deeper than it is wide, which basically means that your new characters are more likely to come from the characters that you just recruited versus your starting 3 characters. So it kind of makes sense that it's here at the Opera House, just because Worlds Collide is coded that way. That doesn't necessarily mean that it is always that way, but this is a pretty linear seed, Joker.
Yeah, and we did see Jesus the Frog take the ice shield from the skull in Umaro's cave, so that's what it was. It was an ice shield. I think at the end of this, Gar is going to have is going to certainly have go mode, and I think Honeydew is just a matter of trying to figure out where the character check is, and then Honeydew will also have go mode.
Yeah, Gar has been knocking out the checks just a little bit faster than some of our other runners here, and this Inferno fight for Jesus is not going to help him out in terms of progression, but it will certainly help him out in terms of levels, because this is what we would consider a dead check, and as I mentioned earlier, Skip is at 22 checks, so I'm going to go check our runners' trackers and see how many checks they have. Jesus is at 14. Honeydew's tracker says 15, and Gar's also says 15. So none of our runners are particularly close to that 21 checks for Skip. So I don't think we're going to see a skip here today, John.
Yeah, just looking at like it's only about the 45-minute mark, and they've gotten almost go mode, so they've been hitting like really solid checks and haven't been hitting a lot of zonks yet. So I imagine they're not like, because usually the reason you get up to 21 checks is because you've been hitting a lot of zonks.
Yeah, and it is our dabbing Yeti, folks. Get him out in the chat if you got him. He is guarding our character, and it is not a Yeti for a Yeti. It is going to be something else. As Honeydew resets out of the imp at Kefka at Narsh, he knows that it's time for the opera.
Yeah, and additionally, this Yeti was not long for the world. Like, Gar has so much fire, like literal elemental firepower, that was not going to be a fair fight.
9,500 damage there, almost hitting the cap on that fight. And let's see who's our character. Who is our 6th character? We got some Mogs, we got some Stragos. I said Edgar, but it is Gao, the wild child.
Yeah, he was raised by wolves, so he can't appreciate the opera.
No, he just thought it was noise and wanted to see what the heck was going on. Oh boy, Magitech Dance Gao. Wow. Wow.
So you might as well finish off with some power, I guess.
So Gar immediately putting Gao into the party in lieu of Go-Go. Yeah, I mean, why not at this point? Tech Missile with the Magitech upgrade is basically a single target flare without all of the all the pomp and circumstance of cast animation.
Yeah, and so as far as the other runners, Honeydew is getting to go fight the Opera House fight. Jesus is currently doing the Discount Inferno, and we'll get the number 9 Esper here. Then we'll have to go check out where they decide to go, Narsh or Opera House.
Yeah, so Gar looks like he's heading back to Jador. I'm wondering if this is a stop in a shop. Yeah, this is going to a shop to buy some more stuff to throw at people. Buying 40 Kodachis.
Yeah, it's almost as if it's like one of those like knife demonstration videos on YouTube, and he just throws them to show how sharp they are.
Brittany, put down the knives. Jesus the Frog, by the way, takes out he took out both Inferno and the Imposter Inferno there. Or since it was just Halloween yesterday, the boss dressing up as Inferno. And Gar is our first runner into Kefka's Tower at just under 50 minutes. A pretty fast seed in spite of having to last location our 6th character.
Yeah, and Gar also is splitting up the party fairly well to try and just get through all at once, it looks like.
Yeah, at this point, even if he went to do the Toilet Atma and the 2 dragons that are in Kefka's Tower, he would only be at 19 checks. So, not worth it. Just going to go through Kefka's Tower the normal way.
And the only required fight for the first part of Kefka's Tower is the Inferno fight that the rightmost party has to deal with.
That is correct. So the dragons and the Atma spot are all optional.
You can just like wave at them as you walk by.
There you go. We don't need more levels.
Another dead Yeti on Honeydew's screen, so that'll be go mode for Honeydew.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, as you had mentioned earlier, right, going through the Magitech factory gets you the Magitech upgrade, and all 3 of our runners went through the Magitech factory, so all of them will get their fully upgraded Gao. We'll see if any of them immediately insert Gao into the party, or if they're going to stick with their throw Go. All right, another Illumina was the Zen Thief reward there for Jesus the Frog. So nice. He's now at 16 checks. So a little further along, but still a bit further away than our other runners are here.
And Gar paired up Gao and Shadow, so that's the throw and the Magitech user together to take on the Inferno spot.
Yeah, that's interesting. What I usually like to do is I like to split up my party into pairings of what bosses do I have left in the seed, and what can I use to take them out. So both throw and tech missile could be used for defense ignoring,
it's
basically. Yeah, this one will be pretty easy, though. But so how I like to usually do things is I like to be prepared for the worst possible outcome here. And I know we're going to jinx the runners here, but I don't care. Let's do it anyway.
We haven't seen Spicy Chicken.
Yeah, we haven't seen any of the statue bosses, I believe, correct? We haven't seen Toilet Atma. We haven't seen Magi Master. We haven't seen some of the harder bosses in the game, so I would be quite worried right now.
It looks like Jesus Frog reset out of something.
That was Kefka and Narsh.
Yeah, okay, so he's probably headed to Opera House right about now, and we'll be joining everyone else soon.
Yeah, so Honeydew is just behind Gar, because Honeydew, I don't even think checked Gao's abilities and did the menuing to put Gao in basically the top half of the party, so... question from the chat: would a Hero Ring or an Atlas Armlet be more damage for a Genji Glove user? So both Atlas Armlet and Hero Ring give 25% boost to physical damage. However, the Hero Ring will also give you a 25% magic boost to your user. So if you are using, let's say, double Ragnarok or double Illumina, that has a chance to proc a magic spell, then the hero ring would actually be better than the Atlas armlet. But if you have like just an Atma weapon or Valiant Knives or something that doesn't have a magical proc ability with it, then they're both the same, the Atlas armlet and the hero ring.
Yeah, and Honeydew is, Gar just got to switches, and Honeydew is not too far behind. So in spite of the divergence they had and Gar being somewhat ahead throughout the seed, they are pretty close right now.
Yeah, I think what it's going to come down to is the level advantage, right? Honeydew only did one dragon, yes, whereas Gar did 2 of them. So Gar's going to have slightly higher levels on his party. Gar has also seen that Gao has Tech Missile, whereas Honeydew is not. And right on cue, here is a statue boss.
Yeah, we did see Guardian earlier, so we knew the Guardian wasn't going to be vanilla, but having a statue at Guardian's not much fun.
No, this is probably the least harmful statue, although this statue has given me plenty of problems in the past. But with Tech Missile and Throw, things to deal with Phase 2, we're not going to have any problem here.
Yeah, the aura is already shaking, so we're making good progress.
Yeah, so Phase 2 gives Doom both the image status and the reflect status. So you can't hit him with spells and you can't hit him with physical attacks. However, throwing things at enemies and using Tech Missile can't be reflected or imaged. So we're fine here.
Yeah, very solid pairing to go against this boss.
And there it is. We're doing a little dance for Gar. Now, the question is, what party does Honeydew have to go up against Doom? And will it be able to crack through? I see
like
Go-Go.
Yeah, based on how you have to do the switches, it's going to be whoever's grouped with Go-Go.
Yeah, so I believe that's Go-Go and Celeste. Celeste might be swinging that Illumina. And one of the great things about the Illumina is that the Illumina has a 100% hit rate. So even though Doom gets the image status in Phase 2, the Illumina is always going to hit regardless. And
the other at Goddess, or not Goddess, but I forget which statue this is.
This is the Poltergeist statue spot, but yeah, here's where some of our tough bosses are. They're in Kefka's Tower, folks.
And Gar did spike an elixir in that chest just beneath the stairway.
Meme chest coming through, as always.
Honeydew has found the Doom at Guardian, and Jesus Frog has just got Gao.
Ooh, wow. Gao is my favorite character in the game because he has 2 chances of either great or terrible abilities. And I love his checks, too. His checks are really, really fast and really good. All right, so Gar getting through the Atma spot. Again, not a problem.
Gao Shadow Tag Team doing lots of work.
Yeah, when you have non-elemental attack like that, it's usually pretty good. Atma absorbs all of the non-standard elements, the 5 of them. That would be Pearl, Poison, Wind, Water, and Earth, while he is susceptible to Fire, Lightning, and Ice, which are, the more common spells.
And Jesus Frog has go mode, but returned to the Returners camp to do some shopping. Probably looking for something.
Yeah, maybe a Mega Elixir we spotted there very early on in the seed. I'm not exactly sure what he bought, but always good to have a Mega Elixir for the final fight, because Kefka will reduce your party HP to 1 on his first turn, essentially.
Okay, and we got the left side with Realm. I'm not sure who's with Realm. Meanwhile, Honeydew is also taking on Atma.
Oh. So this is not a deadly fight. This is just going to take a while, because the grabby pasta, as I like to call them, likes to slow your party and likes to grab onto party members to take them out of the fight. Unfortunately, Go-Go has not got some Merton protection, so Go-Go is falling down, but we got 3 out of 4 pastas eaten already, so that's pretty nice.
Yeah, there's always that one pasta that heals off of what the others don't.
Yeah, the bottom left one is susceptible to instant death and is weak to fire. The bottom right one absorbs fire, which is why it's still hanging around, and is weak to ice. And most of them absorb water, so just like pasta does. So that's why I call them pasta.
And it looks like Go-Go is just going to take a nap for the rest of this fight.
Yeah, you probably waste more time getting Go-Go up than you would actually doing damage here. I'm surprised that Realm hasn't learned Ice, or maybe Realm has learned Ice and Gar doesn't realize that this Noodle is weak to Ice, because he could be doing twice as much damage here.
And Honeydew is now starting the same fight as
Yeah.
as Gar gets through it. We do have Jesus the Frog taking Celeste and Gao to go fight the Inferno spot, which is the Narapa.
Like big blue bubble, rather. Can't speak here from Honeydew.
Yeah, that seems like a solid way to handle this problem.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's that 254 MP problem.
He had, and so it's a shame that it didn't take out the bottom two, but you did cut the top ones down. Just got to throw and hit something, and hopefully we'll be done soon.
Yeah, so Honeydew with the heads-up play there, knowing that the Blizzard is a ice elemental weapon, and that the bottom right tentacle is weak to ice, so that throw did quad 9s damage. I think that was our first, or one of our first, quad 9s of the seed there from Honey.
Yeah. Gar found Funbaba at the last statue spot, and Honeydew is just very close behind.
Yeah, it's like a horror movie, right? In time for being done with Halloween. Breathing down his neck here, as we see.
Honeydew managed to get through those tentacles a lot faster, I think.
Yeah, it did not have to repeatedly cast Bolt 2, but did succeed some of that time back. Is that the right word?
More or less, yeah.
I signed up for commentary, but I don't know how to talk clearly. Did give some of that time back with being in the menu.
I mean, English is a very strange language, so I wouldn't worry too much about it.
There you go. Jesus forgetting the Moogle charm on his Yeti and little girl team. Isn't there like a movie about that?
Monsters Inc.
No, it's like it's a Sasquatch where the girl happens on the Sasquatch family. It's an animated movie. Somebody in the chat will know.
And Gar has initiated the Kefka fight, or the sort of cutscene before the Kefka fight.
Yeah, so you want to have your party lined up so that your character in your fourth slot will go first on tiers 2, 3, and 4, so we'll see who he decides. Also, chat, let us know how long you think this final Kefka fight will take. We'll time it from the start to the finish. I think with access to X-Zone and Mute and all of the other firepower that Gar has, I'm going to go with a time of 8 minutes and 46 seconds. What do you think, Joker?
Oh, my Kefka fights usually last into like double digits, so I am no expert on this phase.
All right, 101.33 is our exact start time here, as the guy that skips leg day is bullying Gao and Realm here for Honeydew, so this fight's going to take a little longer than anticipated.
Got the X-Zone out. That was very solid to get rid of Long Arm.
X-Zone already down. Next, we want to concentrate on the face. That is weak to fire, and will death counter with Quake if it's left alive by itself, so that's our next target. And that balled up fist is actually weak to water. Some of those water edges that we have in our inventory, let's use them on that balled up fist there.
Or we could just throw the Kodachis to show how sharp they are.
Jesus, 8,000 damage Kodachi.
And I think Honeydew just got through the Funbaba. Will soon be starting his final Kefka fight as well.
Yeah, so this is the armor check of Final Kefka. This tier is mostly physical damage, but will hit for a lot of physical damage. Gar's already done with it. That was about 1 minute and 12 seconds that he lasted on tier 1. Very quick tier 1.
And
on to phase 2.
Jesus' Frog has just gotten to the Doom at Guardian, so he's going to be starting his statue fights.
Honeydew right behind on the switches, so this is still a very close race, folks. Anybody can finish in first place.
Yeah, especially this tier 2. If it throws some weird stuff, it could be, throw some wrenches into the works every now and then.
All right, unfortunately, it doesn't look like Gar had that Esper that had mute on it, so magic is going to become a bit of a problem here in this tier, but Merton is going to take care of things rather fast, as we do have tools going to Exfer, so that's one of the items that, or one of the parts of this boss that is susceptible to instant death. There is the mute for magic. The Tiger is weak to ice, actually, and the blue guy will just do 10 hits upon death. So here we go. Honeydew is about 2 minutes and 15 seconds behind Gar. Let's see if he has enough firepower to catch up here, as Gao is looking kind of like a Yeti here, frozen in time, but Jesus takes down that Doom with those Illumina Genji Glove Celeste user there.
Yeah, the Merton is going to be doing some work for Honeydew, it looks like.
Yeah, so we have to watch out for our MP. I know that we do have Osmos on some of our things, and there is a Shoutcast that'll petrify everything on the screen, and the long arm is susceptible to being stoned as well as instant death. So nice heads-up game knowledge there from Honeydew. Little Genji Glove Ultimate Illumina rather action here.
Yeah, I managed to proc the Pearl on the head face there.
Meanwhile, Jesus the Frog getting his double 9,000 X magic damage. So that's 18,000 damage per turn for him. Jeez Louise.
Another Pearl proc for Honeydew. And again, throwing those Kodachis. Gets into tier 3.
That is ridiculous damage.
I didn't even see the 10 hits, so that went by really quickly.
Yep, Honeydew, meanwhile, is on to phase 2. Gar is now up to phase 3 at 105 with 20 seconds. So he started at 101.33. So he's about 4 minutes into his fight now, just starting tier 3. So very nice time so far.
And did we see what they have for calmness protection?
That is a great question. I think we learned Life 3, but I'm not quite sure. Maybe that was Cure 3. Nope, that was Cure 3. So, good call by you, Joker. We do not have Calmness protection.
I've lost the calmness enough times that I usually pay attention to it.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. We do know that we have an Illumina in play, which will up your evade by 50%. That is one of the ways to dodge calmness, since it is a physical attack. Your evade will matter. We did fix the evade bug here in Worlds Collide, and it looks like Gar is already at the Medio phase, so the next turn is going to be our calmness, but we need to heal up our party first and do 10,000 damage or so to the face, and it looks like we're going to be throwing some more knives at him, and we'll see how many people fall victim to calmness here.
So we might be doing the calmness protection we have at home play.
Yeah, that unfortunately is a train and a Medio, because he was just barely under 10,000 HP when he casted that first Medio. This gives Honeydew a little chance to catch up here, as Jesus going to reset to the tentacles. Oh, Realm goes down.
Luckily, there's only one calmness, but yeah, it's a shame that was Realm that took the hit.
So now I think the corpse of Gogo should be making an appearance in Final Kefka, which is actually not that bad, considering, right, we've been using Gogo basically all seed.
Yeah, and we do have 10 hits on Honeydew. So the front blue guy is down, and I'm not sure if we're going to see the dispels from the magic.
Yep, so Gogo was healed before this, which is nice. Jesus the Frog getting his second chance here at the tentacles, and we don't want to use the water edge. That will heal up 3 of the 4 of them. Alright, so Gar has to be careful here. He has to deal with the Ultima counters if he gets under 10,000 HP. He has to deal with Fallen 1, which I don't know what he's going to do for it.
Hopefully he picked up a Mega Elixir somewhere.
I know we have Cure 3 on one of our characters, and Gogo is not trained at the moment, so maybe Gogo can cast Cure 3 once or twice. We do have also access to Heal Beam, which is really, really good.
Honeydew is through tier 2 and is going to be facing Girl in Sleep.
Yeah, so this is definitely going to slow Gar down here on this, as we only get about 1,000 damage from that tier 3. We're going to need significantly more health in order to absorb a Goner. Using up an elixir there on Celeste is a good shout, as hopefully we can get Gogo to do some more curing. We only have 2 more elixirs, so Gar has to be careful here with the healing.
We saw Honeydew throw a Sky Render at Girl.
Yeah, that's one way to deal with that problem. Again, anything that you're not using, you can't bring it with you after you kill Kefka. You might as well throw it right now. All right, and here we go for the Goner phase. So now is the time to throw everything we got at it. That means all of these shields are getting taken off and they're getting thrown. So we'll see if Gar has enough damage to power through this Goner phase. There it is, the crack, the pow. That is time. 1:09:26 is your official time for Gar. That is slightly under 8 minutes, so that is a 7-minute and 55-second final Kefka. Holy cow, that is crazy.
Here, we do see Honeydew preparing some vanishes as for the calmness protection, and Jesus the Frog is currently at the last statue boss, so we'll be starting their Kefka fight shortly.
Yeah, Vanish is an interesting strat because it will protect you from physical attacks, but it means that magic attacks will always hit you. So he has to be very careful here, and he has to know exactly when that meteors will come by. Meanwhile, we are joined by our first place runner in tonight's race, Gar. Congratulations on your first place finish. GG's 1:09:27. What a great time.
Yeah, that was just a pleasant seed to run all around. I have 0 complaints.
Good, so I am now the official seed roller from now on.
Please, yeah, come on.
Out of curiosity, how many zonks did you get? Do you know?
I think just 1? And it was the Ice Shield in Esper Mountain?
Yeah, 16, I believe, is the number of checks that you had. Oh, and here is the downside of using Vanish, is the Meteo countered, and it is a travesty. We got 3 out of 4 party members down. He's just going to go through it, and Kamas unfortunately takes out Celeste, and that is a wipe there at tier 3.
And Jesus is starting his fight.
Absolute yick.
It was destined to be. They were lockstep from the beginning, so of course they're going to be lockstep at the end.
Yeah,
that is the other interesting thing, Gar, is that Honeydew and Jesus had fairly similar routes, whereas you diverged quite a bit, like right from the start.
Yeah, so I figured that if you went for an early Opera House, you probably had a vastly different route than I did.
No, everyone last location to Opera House, so...
Oh, okay, well... I guess I'll take it.
But, yeah, I forget the exact route, but what sort of prompted your early decisions for where you started, like where you went first?
So the opening, I would say, was pretty standard. I found a lot of really high dollar stuff early on, so I could just sell it and buy things to throw. And I mean, like, it's hard to say. Everything just kind of fell into place. At the very start, I was torn between doing Opera House and doing Jador, Alzur's Mansion. So I just went Alzur's Mansion. That's what I normally do in that sort of situation. And I mean, I just got very lucky right off the rip, getting that Gigantos right there. It was just a phenomenal encounter.
Yeah, I think you did the mansion maybe like 10-20 minutes before anyone else got there. And I think you also did the first check at Gal Manor before anyone else did.
So the thing that you did differently than our other 2 runners did the Zone Eater check at the very beginning, which I know you put off till later. and that Esper had Ultima on it, which allowed our other runners to use it much earlier on than you did. Were you sort of panicking at that point that maybe somebody might have gotten it earlier and put you further behind, or were you feeling comfortable about your time at that point in the seed?
No, I felt great at that point in the seed. The only way that it was going to be really bad was that if it were a character, and like if Jesus or Honeydew had wound up getting there first and it was a character, then I probably would have been in some trouble. But at that point, I had Merton online. I had tons of offense. I had like a strength +2, mag pile +1 Esper. I had tons of experience from the Gigantos and the 2 Dragon. I had Berserk. I was waiting for the Magimaster to come and crush my things. And like honestly, an early Magimaster would have just crushed me, but getting that Berserk, like there was basically nothing that could stop me at that point. I had Berserk, I had Stop, I had tons and tons of offense. That was a great seed. Thanks for rolling it.
Yeah, and another thing that set you apart is that you actually did 2 of the dragons. I think the other 2 racers only did 1.
Oh, that's interesting. Did they just do the
Narsh, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense to do that. I was honestly hoping for like a Ragnarok or an Illumina or something from the Opera House Dragon, but just a Snow Muffler, I think. And nobody could wear it until the end, so sometimes it be like that.
Speaking of things at the end, you did get Gao as your last location, as did everybody else, basically. And you found that he had Magitech on him after going through the factory, and you immediately inserted him into your final party there. Was that because you didn't have Calmness Protection and were hedging your bets, or were you just that much more in favor of Magitech over doing Mimics with Go-Go?
It was actually kind of close. Ultimately, I decided on Gao because his stats are just generally better, and like a fully powered Magitech is a little too good to pass up, especially once you get to like level 40. His tech missiles were hitting for about 5k, which was very nice, and it probably would have outstripped the damage that Go-Go could do, like mimicking throws and whatnot. Now, a decent argument could be made that I should have been mimicking like an X-Magic Merton or something, but...
Hey, I mean, you certainly did that in 1 or 2 fights, right? Where we've got 4 Mertons for the price of 2, but...
Yeah. Mimic with an X-Magic user, especially if that X-Magic user has something super powerful to cast. It's very, very powerful, but
slow.
It is a little slow.
Tech Missile is one of the fastest things in the entire game, so that totally makes sense there. So now that Season 5 is underway, what is, I guess, one of your favorite aspects about this season compared with others, with some of the new changes that have been made?
I think the times overall are going to go down just across the board. A lot of that has to do with the... I think it's twofold. The fact that dead checks are a lot better because the potential item rewards are... Like, that pool's a lot smaller now, so you have a greater chance of getting something that's going to accelerate all your fights. And then the 21 check skip is also fantastic because it means that even if you do run into a string of dead checks, you're able to get right back into it and just hop onto the statue. So I think that's basically the 2 biggest differences from season 4 to season 5. Ultima, I found it's been kind of hit or miss, honestly. Mm-hmm. If you get the seeds where you got like Ultima and an Economizer early on, then you know that winds up being your whole seed.
Yeah.
But most of the time you don't have that, and so you've really got to make a choice. Like, do I really want to spend 254 MP casting the spell, or do I want to do something else? So I predicted that it was going to be very, very impactful, and on that front, I think I've been proven wrong.
Yeah, I totally agree with. I haven't run a lot of Ultra Sleek seeds, but that's been my experiences. Ultima hasn't really been as much of a factor, which is why I don't hate that it's in here as much. Meanwhile, another double Meteo for Jesus the Frog, and Realm is down. So let's see if he can get his party back up here.
Jesus and Honeydew had almost simultaneous beginnings to Tier 3, so whoever gets through here first is going to have slight advantage going to the last one. But it could also just be they end up going Tier 4 at the same time. I mean, I think it's destiny at this point.
So here comes Calmness, and we get the whiff due to the vanish on Shadow. So a much better result than a wipe this time. So you have any other questions, Joker, for our finisher Gar here?
Was there anything about this particular seed that you found surprising, or was it more unexpected compared to how other Ultras League Season 5 seeds have been?
Other than it being, pretty fast, I mean, not really.
This has been, the jettest of all seeds, I think.
It was pretty jetty.
Which is strange, because it was the last location for your 6th character, right?
Yeah. It was a little unfortunate that I wound up having to go to Opera House for that last character, because Opera House is a little slow. But at the same time, you do get a little bit of extra experience from the fixed encounters there, the rats on the rafters, so...
Yeah, and there is one more question for you from chat. At what point during the seed did you get that dog in you?
Oh, that's a glue question 100%. And I've had that dog in me since day one. When I was born, I was barking.
Straight out the womb there. Very nice.
Exactly.
Yeah, so again, Gar, thank you for running. Can't have the races without the runners, so appreciate you volunteering for Restream. And good luck this season, and hope to be catching you on another race very soon.
Hey, thank you very much. Thanks both for doing commentary, and thanks to SpeedGaming for hosting us. Really appreciate it, and you all have a wonderful evening.
You too, as Honeydew is in a bit of a pickle here. 1 HP Shadow, 1 HP Celeste, and Goner is charging. These Thunder Shields and this double Illumina better do it, otherwise it's yet another wipe. Woo!
It does it.
And he does it.
Congratulations, GG.
121-12 for Honey.
Yeah, they had simultaneous Kefka fights, and they started off together and they ended together.
Oh, whoops.
Yep, so Jesus just basically killed his entire party with Merton.
No shields on, so I just took him off. I should use fire 3.
And this is going to be interesting because we've got a single target Goner. This may wipe Celeste. Oh, Celeste barely survives there.
So
as we are joined by Honeydew, our second place contestant for tonight. How are you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
I need you to use
that was an aggressive seed.
Or something.
Take a moment to breathe.
Yeah. So unfortunately for you, we did see the double Meteo there when you tried to vanish your whole party. But prior to that, how were you feeling? Were you feeling like this was a fast-paced seed? This was a little slow? Give us your thoughts.
Oh, very fast-paced seed. You had the throw start, you had the Giganos and Ozers for the experience. Yeah, stat boosts and Espers, Illuminas, good Magisates. Not that many dead chicks. I think I only had 3. Aside from the last location opera, everything was good.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have been able to see this, but for probably the first half hour of this seed, you and Jesus the Frog were pretty much lockstep in doing all the same checks at about just the same time. So I'm curious, what informed your decisions to go where you did when you did?
Usually I don't go seeds. If I find warp stones, I just go ahead and get Zone you out of the way. Ozers is a decent grinding check to like get your levels up if you don't have anything like Imperial Camp or anything better available. Then from there, I decided to do all my World of Balance stuff at once. So I went back to, well, I got Celis, so I went and got her free check. Then went back to World of Balance, cleared out Realms World of Balance check, Floating Continent, and all of that. I think at that point I was about like 5 and 7 after Magitech in World of Balance, so I went to find my 6th character before I went down the last Magicites. I assumed it would be a Yeti because he was the last character to join. So I just went ahead and World of Ruin Norsh, got to the top. Turns out his was dead, so at that point I knew it was either going to be Belt Cave, Opera, or Kefka at Norsh. Knocked out Belt Cave, that's the shortest one and it's peakable. Got the Magicite. So at that point it was a coin flip, either it's Opera or it's Kefka at Norsh. I went Kefka at Norsh because that's another one that's peakable, although it's a bit of a walk to get to it. I looked at it, that wasn't it. At that point I knew it was Opera.
Yeah, and we are also joined by Jesus the Frog, getting by that Kefka fight by the skin of his teeth in 3rd place with also an excellent time of 1:23.54. GG's to you, Jesus, as well. So yeah, that made sense that both of you guys and Gar as well, all 3 of you did last location your 6th character, Gao. I noticed, Jesus, that you checked Gao before going into Kefka's Tower, and you saw the Magitech, and you immediately inserted him into your party, whereas Honey was like, nah, my party's good. I'm just going to go with it. What made you change your mind there a little, Jesus?
Well, I knew I had no combat protection, so I figured if I lost someone on tier 3, it would be a really good backup. And he was.
Yeah, that is a pretty good backup, having already done the Magitech factory for the upgrade there. So both of you guys are pretty much lockstep with your routing for a long time until, Honey, you went to the Magitech factory. Jesus, you went to Floating Continent, and then you guys flipped places. So, Honey, I'll start with you first. Why Magitech over Floating Continent? Or was it the other way around?
I think it might have been the other way around.
Yeah, I did
okay.
First.
I'm sorry. So, why did you choose Floating Continent first, then, Honey?
At the time, if I would have got a character early enough, it would have replaced Go-Go. And Floating Continent has 2 chances for a character, Magitech has 1. So I went Floating Continent to try to get the 5th character to replace Go-Go. But, ended up being Yeti, and then Gao joined too late, so Go-Go got to stay the whole way. But yeah, I just went there because it was 2 character checks.
And then same thing for you, Jesus. Why did you pick Magitech over Floating Continent?
I didn't really have a pressing desire to get rid of Go-Go. Gao would have been better, but Go-Go was fine, so I didn't feel that need. And I was feeling really good on levels. I was well ahead of scaling by that point. Fights were going really fast. I was not worried, so I didn't feel like I needed the extra grind fights immediately I would get before the bosses. And the Magitech fights are much faster checks to get some espers immediately. I had no real good magic, so I know real good stat growth, so I wanted to do the Magitech, get the espers, and then take more fights later to get the extra levels.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Unfortunately, there were 3 espers in Magitech Factory and 2 espers in Floating Continent. So either way, you were getting your shiny stones, no matter which one you chose there. And unfortunately, Umaro's check was dead, so that led us down the path that we were on. Joker, you got any questions for our
yeah. So another thing where you guys did something similar that was different from what Gar did is the number of dragons you fought. I think Gar also took the Opera House Dragon, whereas the 2 of you only took the Narsh Dragon. Was there any reason why you only wanted to do 1 dragon? Was it a time concern?
Well, for myself, I didn't have any spells I needed anyone to learn. I was getting plenty MP through the regular bosses and fights, and I wasn't feeling behind on levels, and I wasn't going to go do the skip. I think it's probably around the same time to do 2 dragons, hop into Kefka's Tower, center, to the boss and the dragon, and then warp out, as it is just to walk up. It's about 5 minutes to walk up. So maybe it's better if you're at 17 checks to go get 4 dragons.
Yeah, it just felt strong enough to not need the dragon. Like, aside from that double meteor part, the Kefka fight was very, very easy, and the Kefka's tower was very, very easy. So yeah, I was good on levels. I was good on items.
Yeah, we were getting a little worried here in the booth because we hadn't seen a lot of more difficult bosses, and of course there they were in Kefka's tower between, Doom and Atma in the middle spot. I know, Jesus, you had a little bit of trouble with the tentacle spot, which is one of the worst things to run into in the tower there.
Well, the tentacles didn't give me trouble. My menuing gave me trouble. I was so used to water skeins being right below fire skeins. I just pressed down and double tapped A before I even read it that it was a heal rod. So I killed myself with a heal rod. I had to reset to. I couldn't get it back up with Go-Go being seized. It was going to take forever.
Yeah.
But that was not the tentacles so much, just me.
Yeah, well, you're not an official Worlds Collide runner until you've thrown a heal rod into the back of your own head.
Yeah, don't understand the physics of how you throw something at yourself.
Oh man, it's too bad we don't have the juggle command with our characters here. So I asked this question of Gar. I'll ask it of each of you, and then we'll wrap up here. Honey, in Season 5 of Ultros League, what's one of the things that has changed from Season 4 that you're looking forward to using or making use out of throughout Season 5 here?
I think that's been the biggest change that I don't think people are giving enough credit to. I think it's severely underrated. The Lead River change is very, very good. Like, I think Lead River is the 3rd best grinding check in the game now. It's like, it's right underneath like Serpent Trench and Imperial Camp. Like, I think it's the 3rd best. It's better than Opera. It's better than Burning House. Better than Ozers. Like Lead River is a perfectly solid check. It's not the best, but it's good. It's like a B tier check.
Yeah, I wrote Leet River off as a check that I will never ever do because I'd rather just grind on the sealed gate ninjas. But now that we have 4 guaranteed forced encounters and there's multiple save spots along the route, it is certainly not nearly as bad as it used to be. I totally agree with you, and that's a good under the radar thing. Jesus the Frog, what about you? Something from Season 5 that's new in Ultros League that you're looking forward to playing with every week?
Well, I was going to mention League River because it really has changed how I approach that check, but Honey beat me to it. So I'll say that the other big thing that's really influenced how I do things is the 21 check skip. I find I get that probably 4 out of 5 seeds in my 21 checks, or at least at like 18 checks. If I'm at 18, when I hit unlock, I'm going to go take a dragon, go center, kill the boss, kill the dragon, warp out, because there's really no reason not to. It's a very similar time, and you get a lot more levels, a couple more items.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It certainly makes certain areas of the world more palpable. It makes Fanatic's Tower much better because it's 3 checks there. It makes Ancient Castle better because there's 2. Same thing with Phoenix Cave, right? Because all the dragons count as checks. So I totally agree with that. And I thought that this was a great race. You guys were all very close to one another in spite of the fact that Gar is in the top tier of Megalixir. Honey, this is your second go-round, I believe, so you are in the potion division. And Jesus, is this your first time in Ultros League and Tonic?
Yeah, I've been running this game for about 2 months.
Yeah, so that is incredible to me that you guys basically were within punching distance of somebody that's in one of the top tiers of our league. So that was really awesome to see you guys putting up that fight. And again, thank you so much for volunteering to be on Restream. Can't have the races without the runners either. So any other final thoughts we got, Honey?
Oh yeah, if I could quickly explain what I was trying to do with Tier 3 Kefka.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah, so what I was gonna do was I was just gonna quick vanish myself, then attack 3 times. Attack 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
But I use X Magic, quick vanish. I didn't know that when you did that, it completely cancels the quick. Or rather, it puts you on quick second turn and skips the first turn of quick. So the way I should have done that was I should have just done quick without X magic. Attacked, went to defend so I don't trigger the counter attack, and then killed it with another character.
Mhm.
So that was a learning experience. So like
Yeah,
I had it figured out, but I had never like had X magic, vanish, and no calmness protection, like all three of those things at the same time. So it was a new scenario I was trying on the fly.
Yeah,
But now I know don't do X magic quick and then another thing, because that'll use up your first turn of quick.
Yeah, that's one of those things that Worlds Collide's one of these games that you learn everything the hard way, and that's certainly learning it the hard way. But I like the thought strategy there. I didn't realize that you had used quick in that turn. I just thought you were using just X magic, and that's why I was like, well, I think what happened was the ATB filled up too fast, and there's too many turns going on, and that's what happened. But clearly that was not the case. It was just I didn't realize that this is how this went. So,
oh
fun
yeah,
stuff.
if it would have went the way I planned, like ATB would have been a complete non-factor. But yeah, well, tried something on the fly and it didn't work. But if I'm in the same situation, I know the exact answer, the right order to do things.
Awesome.
But hey,
Well,
there's always good anytime you can learn something.
yeah, for sure. Thank you again for running, and good luck with the rest of the season of Ultras League. And Jesus the Frog, any other final thoughts before we let you go here?
Yes. Can I explain why I nearly killed myself by casting Murton on tier 4?
Yep.
It's very simple. I just forgot I had just taken shields off of everyone.
Yeah, so the charge up for Goner, that's when you want to throw shields at Kefka, but if you need to use it for Merton protection, you might want to hold on to them for
I
for
could
a
have just
turn.
cast Fire 3. It would have been like nearly as much damage. I just wasn't thinking about it. I was like, yeah, Murton, Fire 3, same thing, whatever. Oh, wait a minute.
Whoops.
Yeah, Jesus,
listen.
both had those moments where we were like, you see, what had happened was... what had happened was...
Yeah, that's always the best explanation. But listen, that is how we learn things from each other's mistakes. So thank you for making them for us, so we can learn from them, and appreciate you guys, being on the restream as well. So Jesus, good luck for this year in Ultras League, and have fun with it.
Thank you.
Thanks for hosting us.
All right, catch you later, guys. Joker, you got any other final thoughts on the race that we witnessed here today?
I think this is probably one of the fastest ones I've ever seen. I knew that there's people who can do this really well, but I was not expecting to get like someone like almost under an hour. Like it was I don't know if we can get under an hour with Ultras League Seasons 5, but that'd be one heck of a thing to see, and we got pretty close this time.
Yeah, under an hour is one of those things that is sort of a mythical beast. You need the stars to align in order to get a time like that. And this was one of those seeds where we got some great stuff off of the start. As I mentioned, Throw and Go-Go is always great. Having access to high-powered spells early on from the get-go is really nice as well. So this might have been one of those great seeds. A 109 time is really, really fast. But even our third place runner and our second place runner in the 120s, that is a ridiculously fast time for an Ultras League seed. Anytime you're under 90 minutes.
It was also just a lot of fun watching them sort of just go lockstep for so much and then diverge for a bit, then come back right at the end to finish nearly together. So very enjoyable and definitely worth a watch back for anyone who hasn't seen it. The other thing is, like, as a newer player, I am absolutely terrified of calmness, and I feel like I just watched three people sort of just like go at it with no calmness protection. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely something to learn there.
Yeah, I think with this seed, we had 5 good characters, right? So it sort of lessened the blow a little bit, because we did have that Gao with the Magitech that we got at the very end of the seed. But if you are going to eat a calmness, then that's the best way to do it. Have yourself one backup character that you can at least use for, either healing the party or punching in a little bit of damage in for Final Kefka at the end. Final Kefka is more of a dance than it is sort of a damage race like most of the other bosses in the game, So... And And yeah, this is definitely an exciting one to watch. Although it was kind of a linear seed with us all getting our 6th character at our last location. Linear seeds just mean it shows off who is winning in the execution battle, and that's really what we got with this seed tonight, which was great to watch. So, thank you again, Joker Mage, for joining me in the commentary booth. Really appreciate you joining me here. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for doing all the hard work behind the scenes.
I'm just pushing buttons. Listen, that's all I do. So we will be here next time on one of the Speed Gaming channels, 8 p.m. Eastern Wednesday. Hope to see you all there. And then ff6worldscollide.com is our website in case you want to roll some seeds of your own. And there's a link to our Discord where you can come hang out with us and talk about the game and anything else you really want to talk about. And until then, we'll see you later. Peace out. Thank you.